The night the Allies shot down their own reinforcements. Sicily, 1943. The beaches were taken. The fleet was in place. The reinforcements were on the way. And then Allied guns opened up on Allied planes and turned the night sky over Sicily into a trap. This series is about battles lost to chaos, lost not just to enemy brilliance, but to panic, bad information, broken communication, exhaustion, darkness, and ordinary human error. Not to mock the men inside it, but to ask the question that always matters in war. How does a system built for control suddenly start attacking itself? July 11, 1943. Operation Husky, the invasion of Sicily. The beachheads around Gela are holding, but barely. So, commanders order in airborne reinforcements. American paratroopers flying at night to stiffen the line. Simple enough. Except war has already started feeding the system bad inputs. The first day of the invasion had been rough. High winds had scattered earlier airborne drops. Pilots were tired. Ships offshore had been attacked repeatedly by Axis aircraft. Gunners had spent hours staring into darkness for shapes that meant death. Every nervous system in the fleet was already stretched tight. Now imagine the setup. You are on an Allied ship off Sicily. It is dark. You know enemy aircraft have been active. You know that if you hesitate and guess wrong, men on your ship die in fire. Then shapes appear overhead, not in daylight, not on a calm training range. At night, fast, low enough to feel real. And in war, the difference between a friendly silhouette and a hostile one is sometimes just a few seconds of certainty. If those seconds vanish, discipline has to replace instinct. That night, instinct got there first. Before we follow those planes into the kill zone, subscribe if this is your kind of military history, the kind where wars are shaped not just by courage and tactics, but by friction, fear, and systems failing under pressure. Drop a like and tell me in the comments what battle or disaster I should cover next, because stories like this are not side notes. They are warnings. The aircraft coming in were American C-47 transports carrying paratroopers of the 82nd Airborne. Their job was not glamorous. They were coming to make a hard situation less fragile. Instead, they flew into one of the worst friendly fire episodes of the war. On paper, their route should have taken them cleanly toward the drop zone inland from the coast. In reality, weather and navigation issues pulled parts of the formation into a sky crowded with jumpy Allied gunners. Even worse, enemy air attacks had just put everyone on edge. Searchlights, tracers, alarms, adrenaline. Everything in the system now favored firing first and sorting it out later. Then one battery opened up. That is how these things usually begin, not with a grand order, with one set of hands looking into uncertainty and deciding that uncertainty looks hostile. Tracer rounds climbed into the dark, and once tracers rise, they do something dangerous to every other human watching. They suggest that someone, somewhere, sees the threat clearly. Maybe he knows something I don't. Maybe I'm the one who is late. Maybe if I don't fire too, I'm the fool. So more guns joined in. Ship after ship, shore batteries too. The sky that was supposed to guide the transports in became a crossfire box built by their own side. Pilots saw tracers rushing past their cockpits. Some held course because discipline said, "Stay on mission." Some broke formation because discipline was colliding with survival. Planes swerved, altitudes changed, timing collapsed. Once the formation fractured, the drop could no longer be clean even for the aircraft that survived. Now picture the men in the back, paratroopers sitting in the dark, packed shoulder to shoulder, engines droning, waiting for the jump light. They knew they were flying into a combat zone. They did not expect the first wall of fire to come from friendly ships below. Then metal starts tearing through the fuselage, windows burst, fuel ignites. Men trained to jump into enemy territory now have to decide whether they are bailing out over sea, over friendly lines, over enemy lines, or into nowhere they can identify at all. Some planes went down in flames. Some paratroopers jumped early. Some landed scattered across Sicily. Some drowned. Some hit the ground so far from the intended drop zones that the entire point of the mission started dissolving before their boots even touched earth. Sources vary on the exact totals, but what we can say with confidence is brutal enough. Roughly 24 transport aircraft were destroyed, many more were damaged, and hundreds of Allied airborne troops became casualties in a mission broken largely by Allied fire. And that is the cost of confusion in war. Not just death, dislocation, delay, units arriving in pieces, commanders receiving fragments instead of formations, a plan that still exists on paper long after reality has shredded it. The psychology here matters because this was not stupidity. It was a human system reacting the way frightened, overloaded humans often react. First, expectation hijacks perception. If you have spent hours expecting enemy bombers, you do not see a neutral shape in the dark. You see a possible attacker. Your brain would rather make a false positive than a fatal hesitation. Second, action is contagious. The first gun does not just fire a weapon, it fires a social signal. Everyone nearby now has to interpret not only the aircraft, but each other. Under stress, people trust group behavior faster than private doubt. Third, night strips away category. In daylight, a transport formation and a bomber approach do not look the same. At night, with noise, flashes, and partial visibility, categories blur. Once friendly and hostile stop being clean labels, fear starts filling the gaps. And once fear fills the gaps, systems start killing with their own momentum. That is the real lesson here. Friendly fire is not just a marksmanship problem, it is a control problem. If a system wants to survive the dark, it needs more than bravery. It needs identification that works under stress. It needs fire, discipline, rules that survive panic. It needs timing, air corridors, recognition signals, no fire windows, and command clarity so strong that one nervous gun crew cannot pull an entire fleet into a catastrophic mistake. Because the most dangerous order in war is often the unspoken one. If you're not sure, shoot. That feels safe for 1 second. Then it becomes deadly for everyone. Operation Husky did not fail because of this incident. The Allies still held Sicily and kept moving. But that almost makes the story harsher. The disaster happened inside a winning operation, not during total collapse. It happened while an advanced coalition was doing many things right and still could not fully control fear, timing, and identification in the dark. That is why this story matters. Because confusion does not need a losing army. It only needs a tired one, a tense one, a half-informed one. A system where everyone has weapons, but not everyone has the same picture. And in war, that is often enough. This was part 10 of Battles Lost to Chaos. The night over Sicily in 1943 proved that once fear outruns recognition, an army can turn its own reinforcements into targets. Not because the enemy was stronger in that moment, but because confusion moved faster than command. And next time, we look at a different kind of military disaster, one where discipline does not collapse under enemy pressure or night panic, but starts rotting from inside before the battle even fully begins.